Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. These are recorded live 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, in 2 weeks from this date, we will not have a Weekly News Roundup. We should be back on the third week, and of course, next week we will have one as well. Just be aware of that. But you can catch the show live on over there. Of course, tonight we do not have privacy news again. It's kind of getting weird. I don't know how we're missing privacy news a couple times in a row here, but we do have some security, some data leaks, a lot of fascinating AI, business, and of course, we have to go to your favorite place and mine, SillyVille. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the news. And the first one here, you might have already heard about this one. I had a few thoughts about it. So United States bans Kaspersky software. Of course, this is probably because evil Russian bad. The problem with this is that, first, let's cover the details here. So starting in July 20th, you can no longer purchase Kaspersky. Now, this is not like the federal government, government systems. This is United States citizens cannot purchase Kaspersky after July 20th and after September 29th. September 29th, I can't speak right today, apparently. After September 29th, they will no longer allow you to update your software. So if you've already purchased Kaspersky because you're using it for your antivirus or security protection, you can only get updates until then. So now, on top of every other miserable failure that this crazy government has done, they're now telling you you can no longer update your software to keep your computer secure because bad Putin bad. This is absolute 100% and utter nonsense. And the reason is Kaspersky, yes, it is a Russian company, but nobody's been able to provide any form of physical, tangible proof that it is some weird backdoor for Moscow. In fact, quite to the contrary, as Kaspersky has said, they have actually done, these guys are some of the premier world security researchers. Some of the best bug fixes we find comes from Kaspersky. And if United States does not pull the old demented man's face out of his rectum and reverse this nonsense, okay, this is a possibility that they might turn to be evil Putin bad. Because these guys discover a large portion of the security bugs in our world. And if they're like, you know what, you're going to do that, we're just going to go ahead and keep these security things to ourselves and maybe just sell them to Russian hackers instead, they might actually make more money. And so we risk here alienating a very powerful and very competent group of security researchers who so far have alerted United States and the world about serious bugs that needed to be fixed. This is the most absolutely nonsense take I have ever seen our government do. And mind you, I know that they've installed males who think they are females and cross-dressing kleptomaniacs with nuclear codes. Okay, I'm aware of that. This is worse. Okay, I'm telling you. All right. So the move follows allegations that the cybersecurity firm as a hacking conduit for Russian intelligence, allegations the company has consistently denied. And the fact is they have alerted the government to like United States government to security holes. They release a software that is very good and very competent and probably better than most of the other ones out there on the market. And so this is an utterly nonsense move, but why am I surprised? All right. We risk losing one of the best guys. Now, if these guys have the true integrity they probably have, they will probably still continue pushing stuff out and fight through this the best way they can. And I don't know. The fact of the matter is this is nonsense. And them saying to you, the end user consumer who said, this is the security software I want, for the government to come in and tell you you can no longer use that is utter nonsense. Because now what do you have to do? Well, I mean, granted, if you're on Windows, I think Windows Defender is competent enough. I think you should probably use that. But suppose you don't find Windows Defender competent enough for what you're doing. Now you're going to have to fork out extra money because somebody in administration is mad at Russia because another country happens to be their cash cow. Okay, that's really my take on this. And this is utter nonsense. And if you really want to say that they are truly spies for Russia, let's see the actual evidence and maybe I'll agree with you. But until now, I've seen them do nothing except excellent work in security. So I guess that makes me a Putin shill now. I don't know. The Lockbit hacker group claimed this earlier this week that they hacked the Federal Reserve and they had a lot of information. They were alleging they had millions of Americans' banking accounts that are hacked from the Federal Reserve. It would appear as though that is not actually the case. What these guys ended up getting into is Evolve Bank and Trust. And this is a small bank. I think it was like Midwest. And the problem with this particular bank is it was inherently insecure in and of itself. So in other words, it didn't take Lockbit sheer amount of competent work to get in there. They were already under several violations from the Federal Reserve for not doing the basic of basic securities. And so the Lockbit ransomware group got the data. They end up leaking some data, which they said was from the Federal Reserve, but it actually came from Evolve Bank instead. So, whatever that happens to be worth. And next we'll go ahead and have a look at a couple of direct data leaks just to see how those are going. This one here, we're going to highlight the just the hospital portion. Now, this is actually just a whole lot of security news stuff rolling out. They're talking a little bit about the Snowflake leak, which of course is what leaked the Ticketmaster, which we'll talk about here in a bit. And it leaked out information on Santander Bank, among other banks. Basically, this is supposed to be a super high-end, high-level cloud security system, which got hacked, and due to misconfiguration settings inside the servers, what ended up happening when they got hacked is literally any and every bit of data kind of got itself leaked all over the place. And so what they end up doing is getting in and stealing a lot of things. Now, tied into this was actually several hospital hacks. So Ascension Healthcare had 140 different hospitals. And this is, to me, is a problem with these big corporate hospitals. Like UPMC comes into this area and just starts taking over all these hospitals. Well, if you hack UPMC, you have effectively gotten into every hospital's system. Whereas if every hospital is still small, locally run hospital, they are still providing decent care in all reality. But now the hackers have all those different infrastructures to get into. We need to completely get rid of these massive corporate hospitaling. I don't know. Maybe I'm turning into a Marxist or something, but I think the whole idea of corporations getting too big might be a thing. Oh, boy. Don't stay. I'm not changing that much. I'm just saying it's really bad when a hospital becomes a for-profit entity that looks at profit over healthcare, because that's their one job. You had one job: keep the people alive. No, bro, we want your money. Would you like to die, or would you like to give us your money? That sounds to me like extortion. I don't know about you. But because these hospitals are taking over by central systems, and these central systems are generally interconnecting themselves, you hack into one of them and you get all of the hospitals in their network. So Ascension Healthcare has hacked 140 hospitals, comes with it. This one here was 300 million UK patient records leaking out online because of all of these hospitals being leaked. And this is why we need to move into a world where we need to have solid, robust global laws that no person may have anybody else's digital information without some form of express written consent, and you can only have the data required to provide the service that they have asked you to provide. Because companies can't keep this stuff secure, and the data becomes a foundation by which you get in and steal information and steal people's identities and basically wreak havoc on the world. And these companies are not willing to secure it, so we should simply remove their ability from doing, any of this kind of stuff as it is. So that's my take on that. Of course, Ticketmaster, there was a huge breach with Ticketmaster, which caused a big controversy. This is the first one that we know came out of that Snowflake hack. And with this, the price of the Ticketmaster files was going on sale for quite a while. It's been, about a little over a month or now. And so what they ended up doing is they leaked out 1 million Ticketmaster related data records for free. Now, they also have advanced auto part customer and employee data. They have Truist Bank data as well. So it's possible we might start seeing this type of stuff leaking out online as well. So if you happen to buy some Ticketmaster tickets, hey, you might be gambling with the chance to be involved in that 1 million records that are leaked out on the internet for free. And this is why we need to, have these comprehensive rules. Okay, even with suppose a company like this, let's say I bought a ticket from Ticketmaster 5 years ago. All right. After that sale, maybe after, say, 30 days after the sale, no data of mine should be on any internet accessible device. Now, in the United States, we have business laws that require the companies to keep business transactional data for 7 years, but it doesn't have to be connected to the internet, folks. We have to have a way to say, okay, these records, they're moved into cold storage. We're removing them off of the internet. That way, if there is a hack involved and somebody does get into our system, they only get the active customers that have been active customers within the last 30 days. That is the best way to doing it. So that is kind of my take on there. If you want to help support the channel, we do have some merch. We do have a Spreadshop store. You can pick up some Switch to Linux hats or t-shirts. Of course, this hat is over there, and I have this handy dandy coffee cup over there, and even this handy dandy mouse pad over there as well on the store at shop.switchetolinux.com. You can have a look over there, pick up hoodies. You can even pick up this baby onesie that you can, wrap your baby in a tinfoil hat with an alien and freak out your mother-in-law. Sounds like a great thing to do. And you can come up here and there's different accessories, different sports bottles and things like that. We even have computer bags, shopping bags, all sorts of things like that. So have a look over there at what we have on shop.switchetolinux.com. And with that, let's have a little look at some AI news next. For all of you parents out there with your kids in school, Google is now bringing Gemini to your teenagers through their school accounts. Isn't this so awesome? Now, the good news is this is at the discretion of the school, so it's not like every teenager will now have access to Gemini. But hey, if you have one of those crazy schools, it's like, technology's cool, and they turn on everything by default like people like to do with Google type stuff, then yeah, your teenagers will probably have it. So the administrator of the account, which is the school IT department, is going to have the ability to turn this on or off for different people. And again, it's related to teenagers, and they're saying, we need to turn on this to give teenagers access to AI so they can learn how to learn in a world with AI. Here's the best way to learn. Okay, take this from me. Okay, former college professor here. During the era when online homework started to make a movement online homework was the worst thing that ever happened to college. Absolutely horrendous because it's only focused on the answer, not focused on the process. If you think a student's going to be like, I'm going to sit down and learn the stuff, so I'm going to use my AI to help me learn the material, you are so full of something. I don't even know what it is, because your average student is interested in the answer. You give him an AI system, he's going to figure out the best way to get that AI to spit out the answer. Trust me. In addition to doing that, I also did internet-based tutoring at some point in time. And there are people like, I just can't figure it out. They don't want to learn. They want the answer. And that's the problem. We have to get back to a world where people want to come in and say, look, I need to figure out the process. But this takes personal responsibility, something most students don't have. Occasionally, you'll find a student that's like that. I was that geek. I was one of those guys, instead of going out to the party, I'd sit there and figure out all the different things. I used to close down my room on Saturday, close everything down, turn on one little light inside my room and work on PChem problems for fun. I know I was demented, guys. Come on. But that being said, what's going on here is they want to turn on AI for your teenagers, but it is at the discretion of the school administrators, so be aware of that, but it's frightening, folks. I did include it. Firefox now lets you choose your preferred AI chatbot. I did look into this. Yes, no chatbot is an option. But they are integrating some AI into this, and you can choose anything that offers their, the specific, they have a specific set of criteria that an AI has to have. So ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Hugging Chat. What is that one? And La Chat Mistral. So the company plans to continue adding them as long as, of course, it meets the user requirements. Now, I think that this is completely wrong of them. This should not be something integrated in the system. They should be like, okay, have a plugin, extend the thing with an extra plugin so this code isn't even in the system. Remind you, Mozilla's chief goals are like privacy. So why are you trying to cram AI, which are the biggest privacy debate in our world right now? Literally, the biggest privacy debate in our world right now is concerns around the data being collected by all of these chatbots. Don't tell me you're all about privacy and cram ChatGPT and Google's AI into your browser. I'm sorry, you're failing your mission, and this is why Mozilla's user base keeps on tanking, which is sad because we need to keep it alive. Please, somebody put that thing on life support because we need to have an alternative to the Chromium engine base. Mozilla is a good base. The problem is they keep cramming it full of nonsense, creating this massively bloated browser, and now they're going to start shipping out this browser enabled with AI nonsense that I am not going to use under any way, shape, or form. Give me a light browser that has all of this crap stripped out. Okay, give me a desktop browser based on the Firefox code that does nothing but search the internet. Okay, that's it. That's it. I don't need a translation service. I don't need picture-in-picture. I don't need AI. I don't need all of this nonsense. I don't need your pocket crap. I don't need any of this nonsense. Give me a light browser that can do nothing but search the internet. And on to our last AI story. This one is terrifying on so many different levels. Scientists want to implant prisoners with memories of their crimes that show the victim's perspective. So you commit a crime, you're caught committing a crime, and they take you to a chamber that looks like this, and they embed you in this chamber for a few hours and tie you in with all of the AI stuff, and then the AI effectively makes you the victim of your crime. So now you get to feel the experience of what it's like to be victimized. Oh, my Lord. Okay. First, let's get into some of the more frightening thoughts. Number one, they want to use this to say this will decrease the rehabilitation time. So we need to keep people out of prison, right? So the idea is let's rehabilitate them. The problem is they're humans with an inherently sinful nature. You can't rehabilitate them. Okay? Number two, when somebody commits a crime, part of it is the punishment. You're supposed to go away for a while. We don't want you just going into an AI simulator so you can learn about what impact it had so that you can just get right back out into society, because I got news for you. You're going to do it again. And here's why. Number three, we've had a massive increase in psychopaths and sociopaths in our world lately. Cultural trends have caused these to happen. The number of these people are rising, and a person who has psychopathy does not feel the consequence of their action. They do not care if they make them feel like the victim. They will come out and do it again because they don't care. You see, the entire basis of this is man is basically good. We just need to show them what they're doing is wrong. They know why it's wrong. They are just inherently evil, actually, and all of us are. Just a thought. You might disagree with that, but, you know, there you have it. So there you have it. Of course, I had very Demolition Man vibes with this, right? They were programming them through their hypersleep to come out and, you know, learn knitting or something, you know. Whatever else. So what they're basically trying to keep people out of the jails by implanting memories of their victims, and this is terrifying stuff, guys. Lord help us. Lord help us. All right. Well, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates. Today we were highlighting DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is who we use to do things like our restreaming server, Nextcloud instances, hosting websites, all sorts of fun things. You can spin up Nextcloud servers. You can spin up Minecraft servers. You can do all sorts of fun stuff. I actually just spun one of these up because we're working on a complicated Joomla project here. If there's any Joomla developers out there listening, please reach out to me. I have work for you. So I just spun up a lamp stack on DigitalOcean. We'll pay a couple bucks for it a month until we finish our project, so we can do anything to that server that we want. And if we kill it, don't matter. Okay, just save our work, right? But DigitalOcean is an excellent option there. TLM.li/DOH. This is going to give you $20 in credit, good for 60 days. And when you start spending money, I'm going to get $25 credit in my account. That's how they pay me back. So I don't need the actual money because I have such a big bill from DigitalOcean anyway. Every bit helps. So TLM.li/DOH if you need such things. With that, we're going to have a look over at our business news next. First up in business news, we're having a look a little bit of lithium battery stuff. This is one of the dangers of lithium batteries. 22 workers are killed after a single malfunctioning lithium battery sets off a disastrous chain reaction. So a lithium battery fire in a South Korean factory owned by Aerosol took place. I'm not going to pronounce those two cities. On Monday, according to the New York Times, 22 people were killed. One worker was missing, while 8 were injured. So the fire department said 102 workers were in the factory when the fire broke out. One battery cell caught on fire, leading to a series of explosions that rippled through the 35,000 battery cells stored on the factory's second floor. So the big problem here is that there is a lot of potential energy in these batteries. Now they can be safe in some instances. You got to be a little bit careful with them. They're not as bad as some people say, depending on which technology you're using. And you do have to make sure that if you're using lithium batteries, you're doing appropriate amounts of fuses and things like that. Of course, my whole show, I'm running 100% right now. We are running this whole show on lithium batteries as we speak. It's on fire. No, kidding. But I have a lot of lithium in here. I have 200 amp hours in my main battery. I have another, I think 15 amp hour backup battery I have, not to mention the numerous various devices we have around here. But as long as you set everything up right, they're nice and safe. You just got to set things up right. You can't take shortcuts. You have to know about wiring and things like that. So those are definitely the things that you want to do. In fact, I was having, I was down at Bob Wells' Rubber Tramp Rendezvous in Arizona this last season. And I was chatting with a couple guys that are brand new on the road. And one of them was asking about batteries and things and what I do. And there was a guy back there who's like, he is like one of those old guys who thinks he knows everything. You know that guy? He's like, you never want to run lithium. They're just too dangerous. And he's trying to give all this stuff. And I'm just sitting there going, because he's like, you got to get up early in the morning, you got to run your generator and then your solar power go on. And he's doing all this kind of really annoying stuff. And I looked back and I said, you know, or you can just get lithium batteries and good solar panels and you don't have to mess with any of that stuff, because I don't have to run generators most of the time. Almost never. I rarely have to plug into the grid because lithium batteries, they're a lot lighter, they're a lot smaller, and you can discharge them down to 80% discharge instead of 40% discharge like your lead acids. And so I was telling these guys that, but that guy, I was clearly didn't know what I was talking about because I'm a young guy, you know, and he was old. So therefore he's infinitely smarter about all things. And so, you know, I was like, nod your head and smile. I'll go talk to these guys over here instead. But yeah, you just got to be careful with your lithium batteries. But if you're not careful with your lithium batteries, this will happen. So mine are fused on both sides, 150 amp fuses. So if those guys break, boom, cuts all power to everything in here instantly. That's the kind of stuff you need to do. And then, you know, you got to have some form of contingency plans, things like that. But for the most part, you just got to be careful with this, because this is what can happen. And this is why mechanics will not work on cars, like electric cars. You cannot get a mechanic to work on them if there's any even remotely close to looking like a dent anywhere near the batteries. There's too much risk of it blowing up and destroying everything in their shop and all their other customers' cars and all sorts of nonsense. So there's a lot of issues with electrical cars and all of this push we have on this lithium-based society, which, not to mention the serious environmental impact of these electric vehicles. And of course, it's no wonder that, according to a New York Times post, nearly half of Americans decide to go back to gas-powered vehicles after their rendezvous with electric, because they're like, okay, these things suck. Now, the biggest complaint, United States was one of the worst at 49%. I think the lowest was only like let's see, one in three, 32% said driving pain. Let's see. There was a chart of, it was a different article. But in other countries are a little bit more amenable to these. The biggest problem in America that was talked about was the lack of the charging infrastructure. And that really is a big deal. I think electric vehicles are good in a city setting or a setting where you don't have to drive a whole lot. But most of America is not like that. You know, like even where I'm at here, even if I was not a van dweller, if I was just living at this house I park at in the summer, just getting into town is a 25-minute drive. Okay. You get your errands done around town. It's not uncommon. One trip to town to do your errands is a 50, 60, 70-mile trip. So you get out there, you do all your stuff, and then you're coming back, and now you got to charge up. Well, the problem is an EV takes about the same amount of electricity as running a house for the same time period. The average American house and the average EV consumes the same amount of power per unit time. And so you're basically saying to everybody needs to now have 2 houses if you only have 1 EV in your house. We do not have an infrastructure. Supposing there were charging stations for all these EVs, we still don't have a power grid that could possibly power that. Our power grid cannot survive summer with air conditioners turning on. We cannot charge all of these electric vehicles. This is nonsense. Now, even if you solved all that, there were other issues like the distance between drives. Again, United States is a huge country, and there is a lot of destinations, and there are certain cities and areas you can't drive directly in between because of a lack of charging stations. So you might have to make detours through different cities. Not to also mention, you stop to charge up. You leave your house, your car is completely full. You have to stop for 45 minutes just to get like, I think it's only like 70% of your battery capacity back. And then you need to wait for an extra hour and a half to get that full back. So you can stop, you got to wait for 45 minutes before driving only another 70 miles. So you're driving an hour, waiting an hour, driving an hour, waiting an hour, driving an hour, waiting an hour. This is completely untenable. Totally untenable. And that's why most people are switching back. Now, my biggest gripe against EVs isn't with the EV technology specifically. It has to do with the fact that almost all modern cars are cramming all sorts of spyware technology in them, but the EVs tend to be worse at it. If we could get an EV that didn't have all this spying technology, I'd consider that if I didn't have too far to drive on a regular basis. You know, I'd consider it. I wouldn't be like, hey, let's jump in. I think hybrid's probably the best way to go, because you get what is it, like 20, 30 miles on your electric battery, and then your engine kicks in. Your engine can charge up your battery, or you can charge up your battery on the grid. So that is the best way to go, is to push the hybrids, because you're getting a little bit of the best of both worlds there. And it's more designed to run off the generator instead of pure everything else, which is going to run a little bit better. But you have to remember, an EV itself, it's not just intrinsically clean power. It completely depends on the power grid feeding it. And around most of the country, that's not perfectly clean energy. Now, like at Norway, where Salbu's from, all of their energy is hydroelectric power. So they literally are doing clean energy as far as using the car once it's here. Now, that doesn't consider the strip mining for the rare earth metals and the intense manufacturing process. And the next thing people mentioned was the much higher cost. Now, these are sold as they're super low maintenance. No, they're super low maintenance until you need to replace the batteries in a couple years, and that's going to cost more money than I'm willing to pay for a used car. I don't want an EV on that basis alone. And so there's too many problems with EVs. So most people they've jumped on the EV train, they've played with EVs, and they realize they are way too limited, and they're going back to gas engines next. So there you have it, folks. And on to our final story here. The FCC is now proposing a rule that would make carriers unlock all phones after 60 days. Now, the puzzling thing to me, this article here is just a write-up. I went back and read the entire rule summary, which is only one page. Curiously, there's nothing in there about that phone having to be paid off. The rule simply states 60 days after activation, the phone must be carrier unlocked, regardless if you actually still owe money on the phone or not. And I think that they might be pulling that restriction just because it makes it easier to determine, oh, you've had it for 60 days activated. We don't have to figure out money owed and things like that. Now, that does carry with it another baffling issue. You go onto the network, you get the phone, but in reality, you're still under contract for the phone. Even if you cancel your phone line, you still have to pay for the phone. You know, there's nothing that says they can't, if you deactivate the phone, there's nothing that says that they can't go in there and charge you the full amount of the phone for deactivating the line. I could see that. I find it a little odd, though, that the person does not have to pay off the phone. Now, I think we'd be a much better society if we all like bought our phones instead of leased or rented our phones, or, you know, putting down payments per month on a cell phone. I think if you can't buy the thing outright, you probably don't need it. But go to Walmart, buy a $30 phone. That phone sucks. Go to Walmart, buy a $30 phone, pocket the money you've been saving for the phone for 10 months and go buy a real phone. Or visit a pawn shop because, you know, Pixel 5a, still supported by graphene, $150. So, but this is an interesting rule. I do support the fact that if people buy a phone from anywhere, they should be able to take it anywhere. It definitely solves the used phone market where you have to be careful about if you buy a phone, where is it purchased from? Is it carrier unlocked or not? Although I'd like to just go a little bit further and say, hey, you also have to force the people to unlock the bootloader, but whatever. Let's solve the first problem first, I guess. But that is our business news. And now we're going to have a look over at your favorite place and mine. Let's see what is going on inside the wonderful world of SillyVille. Everyone loves their flight simulators and their American truck simulator games. Well, did you ever think about playing the lawnmower simulator game? That's right, folks. For the amazing action of pretending to mow your lawn on a Saturday afternoon. Can you imagine the meta of this? You're like in there playing your lawnmower simulated, and there's your wife yelling at you, like, go out and mow the lawn. I am mowing the lawn, honey. So, yeah. Now, curiously, this is not anything new. There have been lawn mowing simulators going back years, apparently. But for those people that really like these simulator games, here you go. I don't know if there's audio on this. There's some audio. Let's go ahead and mute that just in case there's something copyrighted on there. There you have it, guys. You're over there playing your lawnmower game. Of course, it did say it was more like a simulator, so this doesn't look as much of a simulator as much as, although maybe this is just the overarching view. But there you have it. Of course, as you're going through, you have different places you can go to. So, like this one's... oh, here's the Landmark Edition, your Dino Safari. There you go. You're mowing lawns right next to the T-Rex. There you go. You're going through one ancient Indian burial ground. Please run over those guys from, like, Stop Oil now. That'd be great. And then you got your, what's this one? Quick session mode. There you go. There's close to the simulation. I don't know if this is really a simulation. Looking at this, though, I don't know. They got a little statue there. Or is it an ankylosaur trying to attack the guy? I don't know. There you have it, guys. You got your lawn mowing simulator. They did bring in 5 different lessons of this. Repetition, the psychology of it. See, this is what I would consider a simulator. We have our history. Apparently, those lawn mowing games are not new. Here's the lawn mowing racing. Okay, and then here's the lesson, real life. Oh, is this guy actually doing VR while he's mowing his lawn? 2024 is a weird time, folks. It's a weird time indeed. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. Well, Google may be making AI versions of celebrities for you to chat up in YouTube. It says celebrities, but the articles seem to have a lot more to do with like YouTube influencers. So, you know, some weirdo like me, you could start, you could create an AI version of me, I guess, and have a conversation with it. You know, get some promptings about how to switch to Linux. Okay, let me make it easier for you guys doing the AI. Linux Mint, unless it's something that doesn't run it, then try MX Linux. Avoid snap packages. Go with repo software first. What other things do we beat the head on a regular basis? I don't know. There you go. Be private with your stuff. Take back control. Try out some different software. But anyway, so now we just got to figure out a way to monetize this. So now you can go to your favorite channel and just like talking to your dead grandma, now you can talk to the YouTube influencer and pay him a little bit of money to chat with the AI based on him, I guess. So that's kind of what the goal is here to do. Let me know. Would you be amenable to that if they offer me the option to create an AI out of myself that you can interact with me and you'll pay me for it? Let me know. I might turn that on. I don't know. Got bills to pay around here, man. Why not? But it's all fake news. You are fake news. So this is an interesting new news channel here. Of course, we've seen the AI generated news stuff in the past. This one here, though, is apparently entirely artificial, including scenes for things that no cameras were there. So if you can feed in, maybe you feed in the police report describing the things that are happening, now the AI can even make these sets and make the actual live action of the things that nobody was there to witness on camera. Of course, the stories themselves could be written with AI and the newscasters are AI. So effectively, it's just AI. It's AI telling you stories from made-up people, telling you made-up stories based on made-up events. What could possibly go wrong? It's like, is this like gray noise for the internet? Is this just the end of society as we see it coming online? I don't know. But the AI network to launch on streaming by spring. Creators Mozum and the film producer Scott Zablensky said they aim to launch Channel 1 AI for free with ad-supported streaming on apps. Great. So you can watch ads. Are the ads AI generated as well? That'd be awesome. So ad-supporting streaming on apps this spring. So you can watch ads to watch a fake person read a fake story with fake simulations about things based on, you know, what people said will happen. This is where they say the program will recreate the real events. The initial demo relied on the stock footage and photos. However, the creators said they intend to recreate events not captured by camera using generative AI. Oh boy, that's exciting. Closest analogy I could give you is when you talk about a trial that was covered and there were no cameras allowed, you'll see the courtroom sketch. They said that what we're looking to do is potentially add visuals where we could clearly denote this is generated imagery. We're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. Sure you're not. Did anyone just think of Running Man when we said that? Remember the whole thing on Running Man is they're doctoring the photos to release fake photographs about what this evil guy did just to lock him up. That was they locked him up on the pretense that he chose not to fire on the citizens. They wanted them to fire on the citizens because the citizens were the protesters protesting their nonsense. They knocked him out. The other people in the helicopter fired on the citizens, and then they spun it as if he was the one that fired on the citizens to throw him under the bus and throw him in jail to stop the protesting citizens from protesting even more. That was what they did, the basis of the crime in Running Man. Same exact thing. They are going to literally be able to exactly that, pull the wool over people's eyes. How long before that happens? It'll be about 0.5 seconds once this thing is released to the public. So definitely crazy, but definitely terrifying as well. So there is our weekly news roundup. If you want to help support the show, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there, help support the channel. And with that, folks, thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.